Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakarish Sarvadam Ganganapade Namaha. Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deva Maheshwara Guru Deva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sarva Mangala Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanitrambake Gauri Narayani Namostute. Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundai Viche. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Shri Sadgurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 12th of August 2025. I want to offer my prostrations to all the great sages and to Bhagavan residing in the heart of every single being. We are continuing to examine Prem-Lakshana Bhakti, Prema Bhakti. And in that connection, we are looking at multiple ways of trying to enter into that extraordinary dimension of life where Prema Bhakti is possible. Today I want to talk briefly here, just for the next 10 minutes or so, or maybe a little bit more, just on what is called executive function. Executive function is the higher brain function within our system. It is a set of top-down control processes. So top-down meaning this is why we do the tilak here in the forehead. That is where the executive function, the deciding power, the buddhi shakti, jnana shakti, it all exists in the higher brain function. So that is called executive function, and that is a top-down process, meaning it's a set of top-down processes that deal with working memory, inhibitory control, cognitive flexibility, planning. These are all abilities we have psychologically. Now, how does this relate to bhakti? Well, when bhakti actually opens up in the best possible way, in the right way, within our system, our working memory is much, much better. It's going to expand to a much greater extent. This is point number one. We also have enhanced inhibitory control. Inhibitory control is this thing about vidhi nishedh. What ought to be done, what ought not to be done. What should be done, what should not be done. Inhibitory means to inhibit. To stop going in wrong paths, in paths that are going to degrade us, damage us. So that control process is in the brain, it's in the mind, and bhakti increases inhibitory control. It also increases cognitive flexibility. These are all terms in psychology. I'm presenting them this way today. Just another angle in this. Cognitive flexibility is the capacity to think in different ways, to be flexible psychologically. So we can be dynamic in our lives. It increases that ability. Also planning, so that enable goal-directed behavior, our planning capacity, what to be done throughout the whole day, etc., throughout the week. All of that is, it uses a lot of energy. You see, so all of these abilities, executive function is metabolically expensive. It's interesting, right? There's a metabolism in the brain. And there's a cost. Cost meaning there is a energetic cost. So when we are in the dimension of bhakti, something very interesting happens. Very interesting happens. Our cognitive load, it is called. Cognitive load is affected. Cognitive load is the moment-to-moment demand placed on limited processing resources. There's a lot of demand psychologically. We want to do this in life. We want to do this. We have that. There's so many things going on all the time. This is called cognitive load. So the self-regulation doesn't get depleted. You see, because we get exhausted. We get tired. There's a tiredness that happens in our life by so many day-to-day actions, issues going on, responsibilities, and then we get tired. So the more bhakti that is there towards Paramatma, to that extent, executive function is better, cognitive load is handled in a better way, and self-regulatory depletion stops. Yes. So then we can handle what is coming in our life. We can also handle the inner processes that are propping up. There's a lot of internal activity always going on. There's always a lot of internal activity going on because we function through memory, working memory, etc. We must maintain that. We must maintain the maintain the good quality memories, and at the same time not get bogged down by, not get stuck inside very, very damaging and difficult situations that can cause a lot of degradation. It can cause a lot of degradation because, remember, the brain and the body are connected. It is one mechanism, and there is in psychophysiology, there's this connection between the quality of the activity of the mind, the impulses that are coming up, and the change in the physiology of the body. I mean, obviously, that is definitely there. It is there in terms of, the impact on heart rate, on the various types of physiology of the organs of the body. So when we are saying Prema Bhakti in its real sense impacts the entire physiology of the body in a very, very positive way, because it re-establishes in the best possible way the right kind of connection, where the contradiction between the mind and the body begins to dissolve. So for example, when a person tells a lie, just a very simple example, right? When a person tells a lie, and it's for some selfish purpose, they're doing that, what happens? There is an impact on the body. The body doesn't react very well to that. The body gets imbalanced when lies are told, when theft happens, when we do adharma. This is called adharma. So when adharma happens, the physical mechanism of the body is disturbed. And from that disturbance comes even more disturbance. This is why to perform bhakti in a way that really takes one towards dharma in the right direction, and because the immediate gratification of stealing, let's say, or of drinking alcohol, or these kinds of things that people do, there's a lot of experience in that immediately. But that experience is not joy, it is not ananda, it comes with a lot of dukh, it imbalances the body, the brain, the senses, everything. It causes a lot of damage. But people still go after that. So they are not in bhakti, but they are in vasna shakti, they're in in this other direction. And this is why the transmutation, the change from this vasna into bhakti, this is an internal dynamic. Yes, it is a tremendously powerful internal dynamic state. You see, because one is able to remain in a very, very powerful, wonderful, right decisions are made. It is called behavioral latency. Behavioral latency means what? The behavior changes that happen in different situations. I'll give you a simple example. Let's say you get a payday. This is a very simple example from life. And so many people are spending that money right away, doing different things and whatnot. It just goes on. They're not thinking about how the money should be used in the right way. They act impulsively. So the behavioral latency is damaged. You see? And this is how there is damage to internal shakti. External reward is sought. that I want to have this experience, rewarding experience from the material level activity. But bhakti is the ultimate rewarding experience. It's beyond the reward cycle, the pleasure hedonic reward cycle. The pleasure hedonic reward cycle is where there is sexuality, alcohol, drugs, shopping addiction, gambling addiction. All this thing is all part of that same phenomena. That is called hedonic circuitry or the hedonic treadmill, etc. There's names for that. So beyond all of that is this new kind of development that is not hedonic, it is prema. Hedonic means pleasure-oriented, pleasure-seeking, seeking those qualitative experience of pleasure. And they are potent experiences that are sought. That's why people go through them, go with them. Why there's so many liquor stores. I remember there's a liquor store here somewhere on Milltown Road here in Delaware. It's a huge store. It's just people constantly going in and out. I was observing that one time. I was trying to get something from another store nearby. Continuously in and out, in and out, in and out. So much attraction for liquor. Why is that? Hedonic circuitry. The pleasure that comes, the immediate pleasure that comes. Because people are going for that, they don't have bhakti. They have not experienced the rasa of bhakti. So they go for these things. You see, and then these things, they bind the individual. They damage health, damage the brain, damage finances, damage relationships, damage everything. It comes with a big cost, high cost. That's the way it goes. It comes with a high cost, and that cost is, it's something that one has to deal with. It doesn't just, it doesn't just somehow just go away. No. It's not like that. It's not like that. The fantasies, the urges, these things are all so deeply embedded inside. The consequences are there. There's secrecy. People have a secret relationship with alcohol or with drugs or with amphetamines or cocaine or crack or the slot machines or whatever. There's a secret relationship with all these things. You see, so this is a perversion of ananda. It's not even ananda at all. It is like a reflection. It is pratibhasika satyam. It is a reflection. And that is what people are chasing. Most people in life are just chasing like this. And they are getting burned by it, hurt by it a lot. But they still keep chasing it. There's people who suffered severe consequences. And the mind seems to put all that aside and goes back at it again. This is the power of vasana. Vasana ki shakti to dekho. How much energy it has. Its desires, this unending. There's no end. It goes from lifetime to life. There is no end to it. The only end to it is taking the shelter of God. Sharanam. Sri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Taking the 100% shelter of Bhagavan. And then asking that Paramatma to remove the Maya. Otherwise, there's no end to that. It can go on and it can go on. People try to control it. They get treatment for it. They get this, they get that. It doesn't work. Even couples relationships. How many family conflicts there are? How many divorces are there? Why is all this going on? How much dissatisfaction is there in life? Jivan ki kala nahi haath mein aa gayi. The art of living is not in one's mind. How to bring that art of living out. You see? And this is the point. And then people get tired. They get bored. Boredom is a big problem. Everything becomes bored. Same life, same routine, same job, same family, same this, same that. Everything is bored. Let's find something new now. Then people go for extramarital relationships. They go for this, they go for that. You see, they go for usually a lot of the substances. Boredom, loneliness. The elderly people sitting in front of those terrible slot machines, throwing their money away, losing their bank accounts, losing their buddhi. You see, this is the problem. Go to church instead. Go to the temples instead. Read the Bible instead. Become more connected in that way. But who wants to do that? Not that many people. They destroy their life. Buddhin ashat pranashati. So I'm mentioning this aspect. This is a very practical aspect. We talk about Bhagavad Dham, and those are very big things. वो बहुत ऊपर की level की अंतिम कक्षा की बात है वो सब. All of this basic stuff has to be taken care of first. Where is our mind going? Where are our thoughts going? Where are our vasanas going? Our urges, our fantasies, our secrecy, and all that kind of stuff. Isolation, dysphoria. A lot of people feel isolated, like nobody's with me. There's no connection with anybody. Constantly there's that feeling of emptiness and loneliness and trying to fill it with something or another. Kitni difficult situation hai. The human mind is deficient. That's why there are so many psychologists and therapists and psychiatrists and psychiatric hospitals are always full. Why? Right here in Delaware, we have Meadowood Hospital, Rockford Center, we have some other places also. Most of them are full all the time. The damage is so severe and it's getting worse and worse and worse. With addiction problems, mental health problems. What is the solution? The solution is Navda Bhakti. The solution is taking a path by taking the shelter of God and going forward on that path. That is the right path to get out of all this mess. And one doesn't come out of it just like that. One can keep going back and forth, cycles. Even devotees, even sadhus and all, they have fallen back. So many of them. In so many places. Because the vasanas have their own nature, have their own experience. That is why Maya is considered Daivi. Daivi Esha Gunamayi. Why Maya is Daivi? Because of its own qualitative special experience. A gulab jamun that we put in a mouth has its own experience. A jalebi is not like a gulab jam. A rasgulla is not like a gulab jam. A donut is not going to give you the same experience. The experience is different. Even though there's sugar in all of them, the experience is qualitatively different. Sitting in front of a slot machine and gambling is different from taking heroin or cocaine. And that's different from going for a dance party, or different from going for a wedding, or that's different from going for a trip on a mountain. Every experience in Prakriti has its own unique qualitative nature. This is called the problem of qualia in philosophy. That is why Maya is Daivi. Daivi Esha Gunamayi. It's Gunamayi, Sattva Rajatama. And that is the uniqueness. By Sattva Raj Tam, the three gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, that creates these it creates these unique experiences. It's absolutely amazing to think about it. If we put salt in our mouth, there's a salty experience. We put sugar in our mouth, there's a sugary experience. There's the sweet experience. And you put chocolate in your mouth, there's a chocolate experience. White chocolate, dark chocolate, this chocolate, that, it just goes on. There's no end to this expansion of the Vishayas, Panch Vishaya. Shabda Sparsha Roop Ras Gandh is called Panch Vishaya. And there's no end to that. And the Jivatma is caught in the jungle of the Panch Vishayas. Bahut dhyan mein rakhna. Bahut dhyan mein rakhna. A point. Sachin has to keep for Sachin. Sachin is not telling anybody anything. Bahut dhyan mein rakhna. It is a jungle. It is not just a jungle, it is a burning jungle. Davanal Agni. Sansara Davanal Nidhaloka. There's a beautiful prayer towards gurus, towards taking the shelter of the great sages. This sansar, what is the meaning of sansar? Transmigration. This is what we see. This entanglement inside the Panch Vishayas, running, endlessly running. And getting crushed and burned by the sansar. Who is not burned by it? Find somebody who is not. Ye satya baat hai. And when we open our eyes to this fact, it's not about hating the sansar or disliking the sansar. It's recognizing it as it is for what it is. Recognizing it and being aware of that, of the sansar. Sansar ka swarup dekhna, the structure of the transmigratory experience, the material transitory experience, the structure of the experience. Yes. that will open our eyes. We need to open our eyes to the nature of this sansar. Our eyes are not open the way they should be. If they open completely, there will be akhanda, unbroken vairagyam and unbroken jnana with love for all. Vairagya and jnana doesn't mean you're going to leave off, go into some monastery or forest and isolate from society. No. Nowhere in the Bhagavad Gita is Sri Krishna Paramatma taught that. Not at all. You can do that. Those are sadhanas that are there, but that's a different matter. That has its own purpose. But the concept of sannyas is to live in the sansar, renouncing the attachment to the fruit of action. That is the definition of sannyasa. Kitni difficult baat hai. We go through ups and downs in life. Losses happen, gains happen. Losses happen, gains happen. Good things come, some negative things come. People give praise, some people give blame. We get a promotion, we get a demotion. Ye sab chalta hai. Sometimes body is very healthy, sometimes body is not healthy. Sometimes our stomach is functioning well, sometimes we have a stomach upset. All of this is going on continuously. But when our eyes open, we actually move into a state of unbroken steadiness. And when we do that, the mind, brain, body remains balanced. And it is only through that balance, only and only through that balance, that the Navada Bhakti reaches fruition. Iska phal aata hai. See this point. Navada Bhakti reaches its fruit. And that fruit is Prema Bhakti. That fruit is Prema Bhakti. And when that fruit opens up, that is where Ananda comes. Ananda begins, really there. Even in Navada Bhakti, there is Ananda, but there is still Sukh, Dukh, all this mixture is going on until it's all cleaned up. Until that balance point is discovered. We have to discover the balance point. That's what our angel wing programs are about. So the discovery of the balance point brings about that intelligence to say, I want to stay in this now. I have to stay in this, in my balance. Where is my balance point? It's unique to each person. It's unique, definitely. It is unique to each person because each person's mind has its own flavor, its own qualitative nature, its own conditioning. That is why the relationship with God will be your own. Sachin cannot have a relationship with Bhagwan by mimicking somebody else's relationship. No, I can gain guidance and inspiration from gurus and all, but it's going to be my relationship. It's not going to be somebody else's relationship that I can just copy. It doesn't work like that. It cannot work that way. It is one's own anubhav. And so to establish the relationship with Bhagwan is the whole ball game. We have relationship with the Panch Vishayas, Shabda, Sparsh, Rup, Ras, Gan. We have relationship with the people of the world, with our family members. Yes, we need all of it, no doubt. But it's going to remain. But there's a realization at two levels. One level is at the level of sansar. That the sansar is filled with rag, dvesh, aham, mamatva. Most people are just spinning in circles. Isme kya kuch naya nahi hai. We can go to the topmost restaurants or topmost experiences, or we can make food at home also and offer it to God. It's the same. It's the qualitative experience is different. Go to a high class restaurant. I used this analogy before. The experience has its own flavor to it, but one is caught up in that I have to have this experience. Must have. If you go, it's fine. You go. It doesn't matter. But whatever it is. But we get bound in that. How nice it is. How wonderful it is. This is called bhoga. And we want that again and again and again, thinking that experience of bhoga will open the door into ananda. No experience of bhoga can open the door into ananda. Bhoga will, taken after a certain point, it is going to damage the entire brain, body, everything is going to damage. Food addiction. People have food addiction. All kinds of addictions are there. Why is that? That's bhoga taken to an extreme level. Because now one is pursuing that, chasing that thing. chasing the enjoyment, hedonic experience. Bhakti is not hedonic experience. This is a technical word, hedonism, right? Hedonic treadmill, you can look it up. It's called hedonic treadmill. And the person is just rolling around in that. Like the animals, there are a lot of animal studies are done with regards to this hedonic treadmill. And they will prefer the drug-laden water over sexuality, over reproduction, over regular food. They just want that. It's animal brain. So that animal brain has to transmute and integrate itself into the higher level functioning. This is all a brain function, not completely, but it's to a large extent. There's a massive change in brain neurocircuitry and neurofunction when bhakti is actually obtained. And that is our goal. Our goal is to transmute ourselves from the inside out. Going to a temple, going to a mandir, or having a mandir at home, doing sadhana at home, whatever activity we're doing, if it is connected to Paramatma, we are transmuting, we're evolving ourselves from within. And then that doorway will open into the higher consciousness, into the Bhagavad Dham, and all these things we've been talking. We will talk more about that. That opens up later on, once this transmutation actually takes place. But until then, a person keeps rolling around in bhog. Bhog, and then that gets saturated. Tolerance effect, another technical word. You can look all of these words, tolerance effect and withdrawal symptoms. These are both in addiction psychology, but it's there in life in general also in many ways. We get tired of the same experience. You go to the same restaurant 3 times, 4 times. You can say, I don't want to eat this anymore. You may make the same food 3 or 4 times. I'm sick and tired of it. Everything has tolerance effect in the world of Maya. We have to keep changing it. Even in spiritual path, it all becomes old after some time. What's new in it? But that's the problem. We need to realize how to make it new. Because it is new, but because we are still stuck in old patterns, we bring spirituality and religious path into that old pattern. No, that's not to be done. It is a new development. It is a ranga, it is a new ranga, new opening from inside that continues to grow and develop. That is our barometer, that we are growing spiritually. Otherwise, the same patterns will continue and then life will be over and cause rebirth. So, in summary, to go beyond the Panch Vishayas, we have to connect with Paramatma. The Panch Vishayas still remain while we're alive, but they are samatva. There is samatva, there is equanimity in them. There is no longer pulling and tugging, running here, running there, out of inner poverty, out of impulses. Sometimes people travel 2-3 hours to go to one particular restaurant to have a particular dish made by a particular chef in a particular way at a particular time. Think about all this. It happens, right? It happens like in the Indian community. People are living here in Delaware, wherever, and then they go to these restaurants in New Jersey, other places. They have some special restaurant, special dish, that the Rasana Indriya. I want to have that experience, that anubhav. Cannot be satisfied just with ordinary food. Not because that is an internal poverty. That's the poverty. That's not richness. One may be wealthy with a lot of money. It's poor from inside. We don't want that. It's the internal poverty that has to be extinguished. Okay, so let's stop here for now. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurumedeva Sarvakarishu Sarvada Shri Ganeshaya Namah Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundaya Viche Sarva Mangala Mangal Shive Sarvartha Sadhike Sharanitrambake Devi Narayani Namostute Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Mahalakshmi Rupena Samstita Namaste Namo Namah Om Namo Narayanaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Shri Radha Krishna Arpanamastu Om Hrim Svaha Om